Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Jason Medlock. He is a quantum healing hypnotist, mindset performance coach, and remote viewer, among other roles. Medlock provides a unique exploration of various spiritual modalities. He has dedicated his career to helping business owners, athletes, and everyday working individuals become exceptional leaders capable of achieving their goals with unwavering confidence. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Thank you, KJ. I appreciate it.
You are welcome to the show. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about connecting with your higher self. So, my first question to you, Jason, is what is this higher self? Who is this higher self? Where does this higher self stay? Is it within me? Is it on top of my head? Or is it outside me? Help us understand of knowing my higher self.
Well, the higher self is one way to name it. You can also say God. You can also say Buddha. You can say, different names that people call a higher source. You can say this. You can say the subconscious mind. But the higher self is not located locally. The higher self is not local. It is actually in another realm. It is where the spiritual realm is, and we connect with the higher self through a lot of different techniques. There are several ways to do it. Meditation, prayer. Some people use yoga. Some people use breathing techniques to move their brainwave states to different brainwave states like theta, moving it to a low theta, middle low, all the way down to the somnambulistic state, which is the state we use in quantum hypnosis to reach the higher self. So being able to contact your higher self and knowing what it is, it all happens from within, from inside of you.
Right. If my higher self, whether we call it God, Buddha, or anything, if it's within me, and they say that, God is in every cell of our body, then how is it that we disconnect with our higher self? Why is it so? And how do we connect with things that are within us? And how can we deeply connect? Help us this part. And what are the benefits of doing so?
Well, God particles. I mean, everything that's made is a particle of God. Energy. We're energy. Now we reside in this physical body, but we are made of light and sound. And the premise of all of that is love wrapped in. But connecting to the higher self is really, really easy to do, but it takes practice. For instance, here's how I connect to the higher self. I'm a transcendental meditator. I follow Maharishi. And, when you're meditating and you're moving yourself lower and deeper into transcendence, you feel a sense of peace. You feel a sense of calmness. And while you're transcending to that level, you're able to hear. Now, it takes practice to hear the higher self speak to you, but day after day after day, practicing hypnosis, practicing whatever modality you use to calm your mind. And at some point, you're able to differentiate the conscious mind speaking to you and the subconscious mind speaking to you, which is also known as the higher self, or some people like to say God or Buddha. So once you've reached this peaceful state in your relaxation or in your meditation, the first low-lying information that you hear, once you ask a question, it's the higher self speaking to you. Again, it takes a lot of practice, and you have to do it over and over until you can be confident. You can feel confident that you're receiving the message that connects with your higher self. There are a number of people who live through their subconscious mind. They live through their higher self every day. They ask questions of their higher self every day, simply by developing a relationship with the higher self, by using a meditation, or using a hypnosis, or using some sort of yoga or spiritual modality that relaxes the mind.
Right. So how do we then connect to our higher self? Is it an easy job? Are there any tools to connect with it? Is AI going to help us? What are the ways that we can connect to the higher self, and which is within us?
Yes, you simply go into a 10-minute or 20-minute meditation. As I stated before, you relax your mind. And from that, you bring your attention towards the peace around you, the calmness around you. And while you're doing that, you're talking to yourself. You're speaking to God. You're speaking to Buddha. You're speaking to whatever you deem to be the source of your life. And you're asking questions while you're in this deep meditation. That is the connection. The connection is to listen for the answers. There's not a telephone that'll ring. There's no email that'll happen. This is a connection that you have from within while you're deeply in a relaxed state. And that is how you connect to your higher self. Now, there are other different modalities that I work in. For instance, I'm a remote viewer. And when you remote view, you're able to seek or uncover unknown objects or unknown things in any realm, any dimension, or any place in the universe, or even any place in this particular world. But you tap into the higher self to be able to do this. There are several remote viewers out there. I'm not the only one. But for instance, if I was remote viewing and I wanted to tap into my higher self to locate a lost set of keys or a missing person or animal, which I write about in my book, Empowered by Consciousness, the first thing I would do was relax my mind with a short 10-minute meditation. Then I would take a pen and I would then allow my hand to be free moving with no assistance from myself. And then I would hear a 4-digit number. Typically, there's a moderator that moderates a remote viewing session. And once I get the 4-digit number, let's say 3745, the moderator knows the target that he wants me to see. So my hand will move freely after I get the number. Once I create the ideogram, that's a scribbly line on a sheet of paper, then I'll touch it with the pencil. The ideogram has information coded within the line because of the numbers that we receive from the actual moderator who's moderating the session, because those numbers are coded to the actual target that we're looking for. So I'll touch it. And once I touch it, if I am in tuned enough with myself, because I am a meditator, or I relax my mind and I'm listening very, very closely, if I touch the sheet of paper, I can immediately get information. It's almost as if someone's talking to you. But again, KJ, if you're not well practiced at differentiating between the conscious mind, which is the left side of the brain, which talks to you every day, it thinks, is curious, it wants to know the answer, it wants to know it wants things to be correct. And then you have the right side of the brain, where all the pictures, the creative side, the side that wants to experience things. You have to know the difference on who's talking to you, your conscious mind or your subconscious mind. Once I touch the ideogram on the sheet of paper with the pen, I instantly get information. In 1.3 seconds, the higher self has already given you the answer. Anything after that, your conscious mind is telling you the answer. And that's how you can differentiate when the higher self is speaking to you. And I use that particular technique in remote viewing.
Right, right. Why is it that people generally forget to connect with their higher self? Is it because we do not have even those 20 minutes, or is it because we don't want to do it? Because if we connect to the higher self, then we won't be able to do the same things that we may not be very proud of. Help us understand this aspect of ourselves.
Absolutely. And people find it hard to connect with their higher self for two reasons. One reason is emotions. We don't fully embrace our emotions, which weakens us, weakens our ability to feel when a higher source is trying to communicate with us. You know, for example, men, we grow up and we were taught to be tough and don't cry, and hey, you have to be a man, you have to, and this dulls our experience with how to handle emotions and how to experience emotions. That's one of the keys to being able to connect with God. Number two is the outside world, the noise, the internet, the job every day, the meetings, the accounting numbers. All of these outside worldly distractions distract us from moving within and spending time with ourselves. See, when you spend time with yourself, you get to know you from the inside out. And being quiet time is one of the most important things a human being can do, is to learn how to relax and to learn how to spend time from within. And those are the two reasons that people miss, that stop you from even recognizing or understanding that, hey, I have a third person. I have a person within me. I have a voice within me that can assist me in any kind of business deal, that can give me direction on anything that I want, that can help me even change my mindset in pursuing any goal connected that can help better my life.
Right, Jason. Right. So, talking about, talking to your higher self, you help a lot of business owners and others. But here, I want to understand the mind of the business owners. What is it that they come to you for? Obviously, you are not giving them business advice, do you? Or is it about connecting to their higher self? What is it
Well,
that they come to you for?
Well, before I started this work on consciousness, I was a construction executive and a restaurant executive for many years. And then I moved and I started to hear voices within me. And it moved me more towards a career of working on consciousness. And when I started to shift, I said, well, listen, now my calling is to become a mindset coach. And part of becoming a mindset coach is helping, again, business owners, athletes, entrepreneurs, be the best they can be at whatever they're trying to do. Now, when I have conversations with business owners, typically they're saying, hey, listen, my morale is a pretty low. Hey, our numbers aren't where we need them to be. Hey, what can I do to increase the productivity of my sales team? But we always start with the head guy. And we start by finding out what exactly is it about your employees that they're not receiving your message? Or better yet, what sort of message are you sending? So I delve off into the understanding of the owner himself and what sort of energy he's projecting to the employee. Oftentimes people relate to you better because of the frequency you emit, because of the energy you give off. So starting with what blockages is this owner dealing with that his message isn't quite getting through to the employee. Now that's from a mindset perspective, from a holistic and spiritual perspective. I work with the owners on understanding, maybe it's tone, maybe it's you're not really believing in your own message, because we can always sense frequencies coming from people. For instance, KJ, if you meet a person and you shake their hand and they all of a sudden they start talking, you can already sense if you really like that person or not, because you can
Absolutely.
feel the frequency, you can feel their energy. And when I work with business owners from that aspect, we try to figure out, what message are you sending? That's the first thing. Secondly, what is it would you like to improve on? And once I find those things out, then we begin to allow the owner himself to do self-reflection. When you can get a business owner to self-reflect on things that are there in front of him that he's possibly not doing right to connect with his employees, then you have it, because now that trust starts to come into play. And now he can see the little things that he's not doing accurately, that's not quite transmitting to the employee. And once the self-reflection takes place, then I can come in and use hypnosis. It takes about 15 sessions to reprogram the subconscious mind, to create new neural pathways, because you can reprogram people to do anything in business, in sports, or ordinary people trying to preserve a marriage, or help a kid that's struggling. So when I can start to reprogram and I get clear on what exactly the objective is of this particular business owner. And once we get clear, and once we begin to remove the blockages, then by the blockages, I mean remove the things that are hindering you from being a top-notch communicator to your sales force. And once we can remove those blockages, then we start to reprogram the mind using hypnosis, whether it's sales techniques that you want to get across, whether it's, performance in the field and how you want people to introduce themselves to different clients, whatever it may be, whatever the task may be, we start to reprogram the actual giver of the information. And once we go through all those different steps, all the different tasks that they want to see happen, and we start to do the reprogramming using hypnosis, then the last thing I do with business owners, I help them build a repeatable process on how they can sustain this type of mindset training, this type of hypnosis training and mind reprogram that I've given them. So typically that's how I work with business owners from a holistic standpoint. And obviously being a former executive, I understand networking. I understand when you're afraid and you go into a room and you don't quite shake every hand in the room. That's not because you're not a good networker. That's because probably there's some blockages in, not really being confident in yourself. Fear. There are a number of different blockages that we carry as professionals that we don't quite know why. Typically, we can find those out by doing regression therapy, which takes you back to different lifetimes to figure out where is this issue. And once we find it, we bring it to the light and we help the particular person self-realize, hey, here are the problems, and this is where it is. Now, let's go through a series of questions and a series of responses to see if we can't remove these blockages so we can get you back on the right track. And now let's introduce some mind-changing hypnosis techniques to allow you to network at a higher level. And now your confidence is there. And now the limited beliefs are gone. And now you're able to speak with the level of authority that we know that you can do.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is much to learn about these things, and they can learn from this podcast a bit, whatever you have spoken, but there is much to learn from your book, Empowered by Consciousness. So tell us who this book is for, what this book is all about, and who can learn what from this book.
Well, I mean, the book Empowered by Consciousness, I set forth many different objectives, and the primary aim was to recount my own spiritual journey and wisdom that I had gained from a number of different spiritual teachers. I was an executive in construction, a construction manager. I'm a professional PMP, and I also owned a chain of restaurants. But there was something that was missing. And I started this spiritual journey on, gaining more wisdom, but it wasn't an end. It wasn't an end route. I started to learn all these different things about this world we call Earth, and I envisioned myself writing this book for people who could, find different ways to connect to Source, which is God, and who then understand how to use different spiritual modalities to improve their life. Like hypnosis is a modality. And if you use it right, self-hypnosis, you can reprogram your mind. Meditation, if you're dealing with high blood pressure, or if you're dealing with anxiety or stress, if you learn how to meditate, you can lower those things. Those are scientifically proven. Quantum healing hypnosis allows you to actually move your own self into different lifetimes that you've lived other than the one you're in right now. You can find trauma in these lifetimes that have followed you actually to this particular lifetime you're living. Psychedelics can help with post-traumatic stress disorder, which is PTSD. I write about psychedelics in the book, how a mushroom can cure you from anxiety. So there are a number of things. I write about energy healing, Reiki energy, galactic energy healing. Those are alternative methods to mainstream medicine that actually work. You can use energy healing to heal yourself. So I wrote this book for the curious, for the person who wants to understand more than just what's around him. So empowered by consciousness is just that, empowering your understanding of different things that are out here in the world that are actually gifts that we've got that have been given to us from God. And this book is for everyone who's interested in expanding their thought process to figure out different ways to create a better life or a life that they're living to even enhance the life that they have.
Right, Jason, right. So, and there is much to learn again from your podcast, Expansion of Consciousness, the podcast. Help us, what do you talk in that podcast? Who are your guests there?
Well, I have business coaches, I have spiritual leaders, I have yoga, I have people who have done research on unidentified flying objects. Expansion of consciousness again allows the viewer and allows the guests to come on to expand on topics that we don't normally talk about. And I want the podcast to reflect, different perspectives and different stories that provoke thoughts and demonstrates immense potential that the human body has, the human mind has. And the podcast is focused. We're on 3 days a week. We're on YouTube and all the other platforms that you're on. But expansion of consciousness is just simply a tool to allow people to come on the show and just like you're allowing me and to talk about their message. And we talk about hypnosis, we talk about the Akashic records, which is the vibratory strand of everything that's ever happened in your life. We talk about out-of-body experiences, which some people call astral projection. We talk about psychedelics, energy healing, crystals, and we all know that crystals carry a vibration. And here's an interesting thing, KJ. I was doing a show, and I had a young lady on there talking about how brilliant crystals are and how crystals are very, very intelligent, and they carry a different DNA strand than what a human would. And we started to talk, and I said, well, did you know that crystals are in radios? Crystals are in televisions. And she was like, well, why? I said, because crystals hold frequency. So when that signal comes from the satellite to that radio or to that television, and that frequency hits the crystals, it holds the frequency, and then it emits a image so we can watch television. Okay, and a lot of other processes as well. In the radio frequency, the crystal holds the frequency so we can tune different channels. But what she didn't know is that we have microscopic crystals in our brains. So then why do we have crystals in our brain? Because when you can move different frequencies of thought, that's how people can hear God speaking to them. That's how some psychics use their ability to find lost individuals or to help police solve mysteries. Or sometimes people can see into the future because we have crystals that are a conduit that hold the frequencies that we are getting. So the expansion of consciousness, we're on YouTube. We talk about all these wonderful things. And I have a number of coaches that coach all kind of different things that come on. So it's not just, like the outer world stuff, but it's an awesome show. And yeah, I love doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what is the best way for people to learn, more about these things? I love these things about crystal being in radio, in television, and how our brain also contain components of crystal in a very minute form. So, how do people come learn more from you? What is the best way, and also for people who would like to connect with you in a professional capacity?
The best way to connect with me is www.jasonmedlock.com. That's my website. And I would encourage the audience to go download a free copy. The first two chapters free from my book at jasonmedlock.com/the book. jasonmedlock.com/the book. Now, when you get to the website, I have a number of different hypnosis services. I help train with sales. I help train with business success, business development, post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm a sports hypnotherapist. Any type of business, any type of goal you're trying to attain in sports or the average everyday person, I have different programs to help retrain and reprogram your subconscious mind. You want to speak Spanish? Sure. We can program you to speak Spanish. And it's not that you will be speaking Spanish in 2 days. No, I'll change your mindset and give you the framework so that you won't look at learning the Spanish language. You won't look at it as hard. Your mind will be free of clutter to learn it at a tremendous pace. Professional development, all kind of things. I also have a 7-day boot camp. How to change your mindset in 7 days. I do a 7-day live video course. Each day, I also offer a hypnosis session to help day by day change your mindset. Go onto the website, www.jasonmedlock.com/online courses. And then you'll see the 7-day boot camp, 7 intense days to elevate your mindset. It's absolutely wonderful, KJ, and I hope your audience takes a look at that.
Absolutely, absolutely. On this note, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.